So if you're looking to soundproof an exterior wall, chances are you'll have one of those on the wall, which makes it a little bit more tricky because a lot of the times, most of the noise is coming from the window and not necessarily from the wall. So look at the window, treat the window first, and then go and treat the wall, because if you go ahead and spend thousands of dollars on soundproofing the exterior wall, then you might be disappointed with the results if a lot of the noise is coming through the window. So I won't spend any time on talking about soundproofing a window because it's more about soundproofing the exterior wall. But I have links in the description below on how to go ahead and soundproof the window. The first thing that you want to know when soundproofing the exterior wall is what type of insulation do you have inside that wall. Is it regular pink fiberglass insulation? Is it something thicker than that? Or is it something a lot less thick? If it is your regular pink fiberglass, I would just keep it there. You don't have to go ahead and rip out the drywall and it costing you a lot more money. However, if you have sprayed insulation, those types of insulation can cause some noise issue because the sprayed insulation, the foam, it doesn't really, it works well at blocking for heat and cold. However, it doesn't do much for blocking sound waves. Rock wool and mineral wool will work a little bit better than pink fiberglass insulation. So if you are opening the wall and you are going to be buying some insulation, and it's just one wall that you're soundproofing, I would go ahead and pay a little bit more for a thicker insulation. A good reason to use something like a mineral wool is that it doesn't accumulate humidity inside. It doesn't get wet and it will not rot, such as pink fiberglass insulation. So that is one benefit. But it can cost 50% more than just pink insulation. So if you have a lot of insulation to buy, then the pink stuff will do just fine. The reason why you want a good insulation in between the wall cavity, it's not that it blocks a lot of the sound, it's that the noise that goes into the cavity, it's not going to reverberate as much and it won't sound as loud coming into your room. So as much sound that you can deaden from outside to the inside of your home, the better it will be. Now you're done with the insulation. If your wall is already open, look at your electrical outlets, because all of those electrical outlet boxes and light switches, there are holes in behind those boxes that will let noise in from the outside. Since your wall is open, use something like putty pad to wrap those electrical outlet boxes. Make sure to shut off the breaker so you don't get zapped unnecessarily. And don't worry, these won't catch on fire. They were actually meant for fire safety. If there was some type of short inside that box, it would contain the fire, hopefully long enough for it to spark out. So it was more of a fire thing, but it does work very well at blocking sound and blocking those holes. However, if your wall is intact and you didn't go ahead and remove the drywall, there is still something that you can do. If you open the faceplate of your electrical outlet, you can see that there is a space between the outlet box and the drywall. Use something like acoustical caulking to seal that hole. Acoustical caulking, the difference between that and regular caulking is that acoustical caulking will stay rubbery over time and it will not crack as the house shifts. So it will create a better seal. All those cracks will let noise in. So it's good to have that wall as best sealed as you can. So at least if the drywall is intact, there's still something that you can do with those boxes. Another thing that you can use is an acoustic electrical outlet faceplate. Now these are already covered with some type of putty and helps seal that electrical outlet a lot more than just adding a little bit of caulking. So this is one other thing that you can buy. I'll have links in the description below of everything I talk about in this video to make it a lot easier for you to find. Now, once the electrical outlet is sealed, if you have not installed your drywall yet, the one drywall that you should install is a 5/8 inch drywall and not 1/2 inch drywall, because 1/2 inch drywall, yes, it's a little bit cheaper by a few dollars, but it will stop a lot less noise than a 5/8 inch drywall. So that's the type of drywall that you should install on your exterior wall. And if you can, install 2 layers of drywall, because it will stop a lot more noise than just 1 layer of drywall. And this is an easy fix, and it's not something that will break the bank. But if that's not enough and you want to stop a little bit more noise, another thing that you can add between the 2 layers of drywall is something called an acoustical compound. Now, this type of compound can cost quite a lot of money, so what I would recommend instead of this type of acoustical compound would be something a lot cheaper that works much of the same, which is called carpet glue. Now, use the type of carpet glue on the screen. This is the more tackier carpet glue, and it works much of the same as acoustical compound in my test. And that's one way to save a lot of money, because typically you would need 2 tubes of acoustical compound per sheets of drywall. And what this does is you add it on the drywall in a random pattern, and then you add that drywall over a top of another layer of drywall. So it's sandwiched in between 2 layers of drywall. Now what this does is this compound, it is supposed to turn sound waves into heat. But another thing that also turns sound waves into heat is carpet glue and any other type of liquid that you add in between 2 layers of drywall. It's common physics. So if that's the theory to essentially turn sound waves into heat, just use carpet glue. If the type of noise, however, is more of a structural noise where you can feel the vibrational noise, what you can do is actually decouple the wall from the studs using something called a resilient channel. What this will do, it will essentially separate the wall from the studs, so when the vibration is coming from the outside into the home, and essentially most of that noise will be spread throughout the resilient channel and not make contact with the wall of your home, and essentially you won't feel that vibration as much. It can cut up to 90% of that vibration, depending on how bad the vibration is, of course. But if you have that type of noise, if your neighbor is playing loud music with a lot of bass and you can actually feel it, then a resilient channel might be something that you can consider. And also, what's nice with resilient channel, it's not that expensive, so you don't really need to break the bank. However, it is a little bit tricky to install. It's best to hire somebody and not really go the DIY route. Usually resilient channel, however, is more effective on ceilings because it's more for footstep noise. So if you are soundproofing a ceiling and because of those footstep noise, then resilient channel works very well on a ceiling, better than on a wall. But hopefully the noise that you're trying to block is merely airborne noise and a few layers of drywall and a thicker window. Actually, yeah, you haven't soundproofed your window yet, right? Well, video right there, and that will explain to you a bunch of ways on how to soundproof the window, because as I said, you should look at the window before spending too much money on the exterior wall. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, assuming that you subscribed.